Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Colwas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today, we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about the role of passion in learning and how to inspire. What is passion and how can we know our passion? If we know our passion, then what is passion and how it is related to learning? How can we inspire others by our passion? So we will get the best insights, right information, knowledge, and guidance about it because we have an expert with us in today's session. So stay tuned because an amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to welcome all of you to this platform of Kalwas, and I would like to thank the Kalwas for arranging such enlightenment session for their support and providing us such a wonderful platform. The aim of the Kalwas is to give you the opportunity to interact with the world-renowned speakers, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to share their views, experiences, and tips which will create an impact and will enable you to learn new things and develop yourself in order to grow individually as well as to contribute to the world at large. As our slogan is come, learn, and share. So today our guest is very special. He is a well-known personality in academia and industry. He has a vast experience. We always see him on different platforms while contributing to the field and world. Moreover, he is always extending a helping hand to the younger generation, particularly, and ready to share his knowledge. So, let me introduce him formally. He has extensive expertise in global commercialization of innovation education, healthcare, and technology products and services. He served as a co founder and CEO of Global Opportunities Commercialization, Director of Mainstage Australia, APAC Health, and Golden Bridge Advisory, organizations that deliver entrepreneurship, funding, commercialization services, as well as their own products internationally. These organizations also deliver programs with several universities and incubators. Moreover, he has taught at entrepreneurship and MBA program focusing on innovation, corporate strategy, and venture development at universities and executive programs. In addition to that, he is the frequent international speaker, speaking at forums in Europe, USA, India, Asia, Africa, and Oceania. The theme include law, negotiation mastery, digital transformation, agriculture, artificial intelligence, curricula, design, and educational models for emerging nations, youth, and women empowerment, peace building, and nation capabilities development. Moreover, he serves on a private and public governing boards and charities in several countries. He was awarded Ambassador for Peace by the Universal Peace Federation for peace building activities in Africa. In addition to that, he holds a PhD in molecular microbiology and law degree from Australia universities and executive training in leadership and strategy in pharmaceutical and biotech executive training from the Harvard Business School. Last but not the least, he is a wonderful speaker, author, teacher, researcher, professional, and above everything, he's a great human being. So please help me in welcoming our guest, Dr. Chris Sotiropoulos. Welcome to the Calvas platform, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Dr. Shah. Thank you, Kalwas. What an important platform you have in order to reach into different spheres of this planet of ours, different spheres of expertise, as well as to enrich your on-the-ground capability and learning. I'll share my screen now.
Thank you very much. As a reminder to the audience that Dr. Chris will be presenting, and at the end, of course, he will leave the time for question and answer session. Of course, it is not covered in the session. So you can email your question to us at info@calvas.com, or you can comment in the comment section. So over to you, Dr. Chris, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shah. So it's not my work, it's my passion. What a great saying. Yeah. Let me give you all a little bit of a secret. My background, although I'm born in Australia, My heritage is of Greek origin. And in ancient Greek, the word used to describe the activities of a slave was work. The word used to describe an activity of an academic was a teacher, of a bricklayer accordingly, of a doctor accordingly. So work was not used to describe the activities of someone other than a slave. We have adopted the word work, and I think it's a negative word. I think it's a word which reflects something that we don't really enjoy doing. We hear people saying, "Oh, I've got to go to work. It's Monday. Oh, geez, I've got work next week." It's not a pleasurable activity. It's not an activity related to your passion. Conversely, when people are talking about, "Oh, guess what I'm doing? I've got this fantastic project on Monday morning, fantastic activity, fantastic client activity," it's not a fantastic work activity. It's a mindset, but it also is a direction of how we configure ourselves. So I'd like to reflect on the role of passion in learning and how to inspire in our discussion today. Like anything, why has to be the foundation question here. Why work versus passion activities? Socrates talked about our life needs to have a meaningful purpose. Didn't say what meaningful meant, but it meant something that internally for us, we are driven to a particular cause. So you have these two chaps here, Socrates and Plato, and behind you have on the column the goddess of wisdom, Athena, who was very much also focused on wisdom, mentoring, what that does for your character moving forward. Also, what's important is family assistance. Now, you never hear about that in this context, but we're now looking at describing the holistic element of a person and why passion, learning, and inspiring, how that relates. It is because we are within a family unit. We have parents, siblings, grandparents, relatives, a community. So, what we do and how we act in society, even within your learning environment, even within business schools, has to capture that relationship as well. The isolation is not truthful, it is not real. Once you've configured what it is that your meaningful life is about and how that fits in with your community or family context, then you can start thinking about progress. We want to progress society. We want the society of our children to be better. We hear about the climate change discussions and how the younger ones are fearful that there will be no planet that they will be able to live in. We want a better future for our children. My parents, grandparents had a rule: each generation must be better off and do better, living a meaningful life, not just making lots of money and being bad people. So, progress is also part of the passion, learning, inspire experience. What you need to push is empowering without limit. And I've, on purpose, capitalized the letter E and the letter P because it's power, but the M means a heightened level of, without limit. In this picture here, my son, many years ago when he was young, we were at a coastal beach. It was summer, but it was windy and cold. And I said to him, "Oh, look at that boat out there. Do you reckon you could bring it in?" I reckon you've got the muscles for it. Have a go. And he said, I'll have a go. So here he is. You've got this little kid pulling in the boat. And I had to say to him, okay, well, now you can stop, because if you bring it in too close with the choppy water, you will damage the boat. Now, of course, my activity there was just to give him inspiration that he can do something if he puts his mind to it, even when it's as crazy as pulling in a boat. That's the level of empowerment that we need for ourselves, for our peers, for our students, for our family, for our community. Because that's how innovations come up. That's how caring for your community come up. That's how batteries in Tesla cars came up. That's how space travel came up. Not to mention the thousands of innovations that are coming out of space travel from 40 years ago. Non-stick ovens, space technology. Who would have thought? These things occur. The race to manage the pandemic, production of therapeutics and diagnostics at a record pace. Shortcuts were done, but now we have treatments and options available. Inspiring is an ecosystem behavior. You don't hear about that much in the business books, in the management books, in the psychology books. The guy on the right, he was a Greek philosopher called Epictetus. And the name is spelt in Greek there for you. What did he say? In order for change to occur, you need to start from day 0, day 1, day 2, day 3. If you go back to the old habits, that's okay. Start again. Day 0, day 1, day 2. Get to day 30. He says, if you get to day 30 with your new behavior set, there's a very high likelihood that you will not go back to that old behavior. Now, that's been morphed into cognitive behavioral therapy, and addiction classes have used it. We've all used it. So the learnings, even from back then, have said that if you need to change behavior, you want to bring out passion in learning and inspire, it has to change, but it has to be an ecosystem behavior. It's not just the one person who develops that behavior set. It can't be outsourced, as I say, to one person. It can't be isolated. What do I mean by that? Well, if my friends aren't interested in what I'm interested in, the behavior is not going to last very long because my ecosystem is not supportive. For example, in entrepreneurship, there is a very small percentage of society that lives as entrepreneurs. However, what you find is that these individuals collect together and form little tribes. So an entrepreneur will not go and hang out with people who are 9-to-5 office people, or people who aren't interested in challenging boundaries. So it can't be isolated. It can't be outsourced. It needs an ecosystem of many influences. It must be truthful. Philosophies across the East, Africa, Europe, for thousands of years have said the same thing. You must be truthful if you want to embed, sustain passion, learning, inspiration. It can't be a fashion. We have lots of fashions these days. Particular teaching styles. Oh, let's try this, let's try that. Oh, well, unless it's embedded and unless it's truthful and honest, it won't happen. I've got another controversial point. It must be positive. There's a lot of discussion over the millennia about if we focus on the negative, will we be a better people? Will we be a better society? And evidence has shown again and again, not the case. We all know bad people. We all know people who are constantly knocking us for what we're doing moving forward. But that's not the mainstream. We must be positive. It must be embedded in all daily interactions and for life. Now, in order for that to occur on a primary level, on a personal level, you have to know yourself. Who am I? Not what do I do? Not do I wear a fancy suit? Do I live in a big house? Do I make a lot of money? Who do I have as friends? That's not how this game works. You need to know who you are as a person and not to be subject to insecurities such as, this year I've got to behave this way. Next year I've got to behave that way. Oh, I've got to wear this. I've got to wear that. You must know your critical self in order to allow the passion to move into learning, to move into inspiration. The role of the ecosystem. Here's an example of communities, volunteers, teachers, collaboration, elders. The individual elements here are not as important. The fact is there's a community inspiring contributions, whether it's to UN volunteers, collaborations. And in fact, if you look at the collaborations, what's fascinating is the images on the kids' faces. Their mouths are open, their eyes are smiling. You've got reflection, you've got content developers. On the bottom right, you've got the elders teaching children about cultural history, storytelling. The community is required for inspiring. It's not just a one-person, two-person activity. It's an ecosystem. Why do we mention this? Because without these fundamental pieces of truth, you can't create a little program which says, I'm going to inspire 3 people. And I'm going to work really hard at it, and I'm going to inspire them. Because as we said in the previous slide, it's an ecosystem. It's got to be in people's practice. It's got to be for life and daily interaction. Inspiring big goals. So I apologize for the language being a little bit controversial in the photo, but what an image. This little puppy dog says, oh my goodness me, I'm Batman. I'm a superhero. I do what superheroes do. Inspiring is about big goals. As we saw in my son pulling the boat in, it's a big goal. Our company, Global Opportunities Commercialization, or GOC, is about international scope. We set ourselves up a few years ago with colleagues that have similar mindsets. We want a better humanity. We know how we can tinker with it. We're not going to develop everything. We know that we have some smarts in a few small areas. We have friends in many parts of the world. Can't we get these together? And the discussions we will have with Dr. Shah and Kalwas following this activity today will be a testament, because we know that there are people who are like-minded to us, as is Dr. Shah and his colleagues. We know that we have big goals, and Kalwas is a magnificent platform. When I was reading about it, I thought, my goodness me, it fits exactly what we want to do as well, and would be privileged to be part of this group. So the international scope is really important because it's part of that big goals activity. We also have high confidence in what we believe is possible. In fact, it's in our DNA. We live it, we breathe it constantly. So, for example, tonight, Saturday evening in Melbourne, Australia, 5 years ago, if you'd said to us, well, guess what? You will be conducting conferences and discussions and summits and workshops on a Saturday afternoon, we would have said, you've got to be kidding. Because in our culture, Saturday afternoon is family time, going out, shopping, friends, restaurants, etc. But that's not our DNA. And the pandemic has forced us to look deep inside ourselves to find out what are the actions we need to do in order to be inspired. And lockdown, and we have the world record in Melbourne, the most lockdown days of any city in the world. Now, we have suffered for that. It's not a good thing, both physically, mentally, economically. But it has enabled us to configure more sharply or laser focused with what it is that we're seeking to do. Our DNA. It's not just the founders, it's not just the shareholders, all of our staff, all of our clients. They have a very high confidence in inspiring and being change makers around the world. In fact, I say to our staff, whatever you want to do here, it's got to be international best practice. And if that means we've got to tear the rules and rewrite them, let's do it. Even if I don't know as CEO what the end product's going to be, I'm not that fussed. Because if it fits within our virtues, values, and what we want to do in terms of using passion to create learning for good, then we're there. We've also provided a mindset which our client selection checklist is involved. We will not take on clients that do not share our values. We will not take on clients who do not themselves wish to see a better humanity. We're not going to take on clients, for example, in industries which are contrary to these values. When you do this and practice it day in, day out, all of a sudden your reality, what you see, what you feel, the energy changes. That's actually quite important. And that energetic change is not in the business books. It's not in the MBA schools. It's not at Harvard. It's not at Oxford. But the philosophers and the faith leaders, they know it. And they preach it all the time. Doesn't matter what faith you're in. And we've realized, saying, hang on a second, what we're doing, they've been talking about for thousands of years. These faith leaders are talking about it today. Okay. We're living it, but we're going to draw more of it into our activities because we want to internationally work with people such as yourselves, such as partners in Africa and Oceania and Europe, US, Asia, in order to make a difference. Because we know that when it's passion driven, the likelihood of success is much higher. Now, failure is not a problem either, because it's just a case of, okay, what did we do wrong? Let's do it a different way. So failure is actually not an end point. It is a hurdle. It's a little bit like the athletes that run have a 100-meter hurdle at the Olympics. They've got to go through those 10 hurdles. The key is that you drop one hurdle, it doesn't mean the project is over. It means that you've got to reconfigure and keep running. So this is the mindset that's really important here. We believe that everyone is a potential genius, irrespective of their circumstances, their location, socioeconomics, etc., race, religion, doesn't matter. Everyone is a potential genius. They may not be rocket scientists, but they might be humanists, much more so than those technical engineers, and that's not uncommon. Anyone can achieve the impossible, however. Scientific research says that 92% of people will not do so because of lack of esteem and direction. Remember that? Know thyself? That's lack of self-esteem. Direction? Well, that's part of your belief, your know yourself, but it's also part of your ecosystem, which says you'll amount to nothing. That'll never work. And we've all lived that. I don't know anyone who hasn't lived it. We empower the youth to fulfill their maximum potential by leading them through a fund-structured program founded on evidence-based principles. What am I talking about there? Well, our team has created a youth empowerment program. The title is Youth Global Empowerment. Makes sense? But as it says here, we empower the youth to fulfill their maximum potential by leading them through a fund-structured program, because at that age, that's important, but it's based on evidence-based principles. And we'll talk about that in this presentation because case studies are important and lofty thinking needs to be rooted in examples. And that's what the philosophers have told us as well. Learning and inspiring. So we'll jump into the program in a moment, but GOC is interested in global supply chain creation. So we want to find people around the world and work with them who, as part of the supply chain, from the idea generation, the academics, the startup, the product development, the import, export, the looking after social communities, social enterprises, these are supply chain elements. Even access to funding, access to people, logistics. We want to find people along those supply routes that fit our values and are interested in passion, because they and the chain will ensure rapid innovation and positive development for humans, the environment, etc. One element that we're using is embedding into community curricula and employment. So when we find something really interesting, let's just say new technology in virtual reality, we're seeing that now has relevance in industry, training, as well as developing new solutions for different areas, whether it's medical or occupational health and safety, or just workplace training. As we develop this, we also want to align ourselves with a university which can develop curricula using this technology based on what industry needs at the same time in parallel, in order to produce graduates to go straight into employment. And we're actually doing that at the moment with an organization, with a university in India and one of the top emerging technology platform companies in Australia. Stay tuned as that's rolled out next year. But that's a sort of a tech model, but there's a social enterprise model. There's a cooperative model we're employing in Eastern Africa. There are trading and commodity models that we want to adopt across the continents. There are charitable social enterprise models, which we are working with in Tamil Nadu in India. Those models and elements thereof can be copy-pasted into Europe, US, Australia, Pacific Islands, Africa, etc. So that's what's interesting for us. We're not just interested in one little point of time, one activity. We want to be able to take it and transform it overseas. So that's where the passion element kicks in. So the Young Dream Creators was the program that was developed, sparking the passion, enforcing that impossible is possible, stimulating entrepreneurial creativity and innovation, co-creating with the young person a passion-based project. And we'll give examples in a moment. Outcomes that have international benefit, not just local, got to be international. And because it's a project, we want to fine-tune communication and written skills. We often hear from parents, oh, my child's not interested in science and maths and English. They just want to play Fortnite or some game online, or they want to get online and they want to connect with YouTubers. And what am I going to do? Says the parents are pulling their hair out. Kids' grades are dropping. Dysfunction in parent-child, school and child relationship, not a good thing. We want to stimulate global networking and respect for our world using this program. We also use multicultural and multi-age connections because we believe that part of the learning, so you might have a passion that you're really excited about something, but the learning, when we also add multiculture and multi-age. What do I mean by multiculture? Different faiths, different backgrounds. What do I mean by multi-age? 20-year-old kids, 40, 50, 60-year-olds, 70, 80, 90-year-olds, different groups that interact with the customer, if you will, the participant, the student, because there's different ways of thinking. I think very differently to a 25-year-old, to a 70-year-old. There's nothing wrong with that. That is a reality. But when elements of those three generations are involved with a project, a passion-based project, different elements of learning, but inspiration will be drawn out for the participant. We also explain, and the student sees, twists and turns. There are good days, there are bad days. We can't connect with people. It's not working properly. By having those three multicultural and multi-age connections, you develop resilience and overall well-being in the student. And these days we're finding that the younger, shall we say, 20 to 30 crowd, in Western institutions do not have very high resilience. We see high resilience with our students in India and Somalia, much higher than in the United States, Australia, UK. That's worrying, but it's based on very serious and obvious piece of information. We use academic skills in a practical way. Now, why is that important? Because people often hear, oh, well, it's a passion-based project. It's about a bit of fun. Doesn't really mean much. And at the end of the day, they have to go back to school the next day and continue with their maths, English curriculum. We say no. Because the way we've designed our program, they have to communicate, write, project manage, make decisions, present at the end. Very hard academic and life skills, not just the project, but we do it in such a way that they don't think it's difficult. We develop a love for learning because, again, we're focusing on the steps and the end goal and making sure they have fun. It's not about cracking the whip and being on top of them and saying, well, you haven't done it. Why haven't you done it? Bad person. No, it's about having fun as well. Now, is that relevant for people of my age? Well, I don't know, the having fun bit, but certainly enjoying it at my age is very important. Now, The reason why I want to run through this is that, again, as I've indicated before, the program, okay, 10 courses, 1 hour per session, okay, not as important other than it is a series of activities. The first session, discover and analyze the interest and passion. How do we do that? We ask the child, oh, what do you like? Oh, not much. Oh, what really excites you? Oh, not much. Which is the standard start. You think, okay, do you like what? Do you like the internet? And then they open up. Do you like sport? They open up. Oh, do you like art? Do you like talking a lot? Do you like having fun, dancing? What? And all of a sudden they start opening up. Oh, yes, yes. Do you like sport? Which sport do you like? Which sports star? Did you watch the last game? What did you? And all of a sudden they think, oh, these people are okay. And then they start talking. And then we start moving on to stage 2, brainstorming, developing a project that excites. I'll give you a recent example. Parent came to us and said, my child is spending too much time on a software game. And I'm really annoyed because I want him to be more, he's a good kid, likes his maths, but I want him to be more academic, and he's not academic because he's interested in this game. And so we took it to the group. We said, okay, what else does he like? Well, he also likes, architecture and buildings, and he thinks that's really exciting. We said, okay, all right, good to know. And one of our younger members of staff said, I've got an idea. How about we use the software program in order for the child to develop, to build something online, to connect with a tribe that also uses software for building, to connect with a real world architect, and to do it with dad. And I thought, you've got to be kidding. Could never have thought of that. He said, yeah, because I'm a gamer. I love games as well, said our younger staff member. We can get him to get the dad involved too, to respect what's going on. We'll get a real world architect. We'll get some maths elements in, and the kid can develop something. I thought, my goodness me, how good is that? Project planning. Right, let's have a look. How long is it going to take to do A, B, C, D, E, F? What are we going to do? When do we bring in the architect? When do we bring in the dad? How does it work? Child's got work as studies. Weekend, evening, what's the dynamic? Right, project has been planned. Structure has been developed with the child. Okay, off we go. Execute the project. Twists, turns, availabilities, software's not working. Oh, is that what you want to do? All right, let's say, oh, what does that mean? Why don't you try this and that? Then again, presentation of outcome to parents. Whoa, what's that all about? It's not about us validating that we've done something for the parents. It's about the child having the confidence to use language, PowerPoint skills, speak to the parents and to us. Remember, we are the multi-age, multicultural group. Wow, does that empower the child? Oh, yeah. Much more than dad, I've got an A in maths. Much more. Now, that empowerment's really important as the child moves forward. A quick snapshot of our people. Top left, professors, entrepreneurs, entrepreneurship teachers, the aged. Next 3, myself, Dr. Ria and Sasha Kaluri, experts in innovation, entrepreneurship, interacting with children, figuring it out. Andrew Gavigan, Janelle and Alec, the university and post-university culture. They understand the reality of what they live. Darlene, one of the top psychologists. James Nixon, an A380 pilot for Emirates, retired. Boy, has he lived. And obviously, what are his communication skills like? Fantastic. Ahmed Toho, our man, in African issues, and Dr. Rayner, US healthcare. That configuration of people wrapped around a young person or young persons provides at different points in time inspiration, knowledge, extrapolation of empowerment and passion, as well as learning. You see how those configurations are required in order for this to move forward. Let's go through an example. So the two kids on the left image, on the laptop image, are at year 6 level. They said, after lots of toing and froing, what do we like, what do we don't like? Oh, I'm not too sure. They said, right, how about we want a better world for kids, but we want to meet kids from around the world, find out what their life is like, what school they go to, what their house is like, what their community is like. Also, for them to hear about us, the kids here. So they came up with their logo and they said, right, we want to learn about these kids. Then we want to get them all together and we're going to have like a little United Nations. And we thought, wow, that's ambitious, but okay, can be done. How do we do that? Well, example on the right. The boys interviewing a girl from Malawi. Beautiful young soul, very excited. She's never met or spoken to anyone from Australia. They've never met and spoken to anyone from Africa. So how exciting is that? Now, what were the mechanics? The boys had to create a set of questions. So what do? They create 40 questions. Now, you and I know when you're speaking to someone overseas, you've got to deal with their parents as well, and no one's got time to spend 4 hours. So I said, right, 40 questions is not going to happen because you've got these issues. They said, oh, okay. I said, all right, let's park the questions aside for a second. What do you really want to ask? Oh, a bit about them, a bit about their house, a bit about their school, and what challenges they have that they'd like to solve. I said, great. It's 4 questions. Oh, yeah. And you've got to tell them about yourself as well. Oh, yeah. So all of a sudden, the impossible became possible. We obviously had to use our networks to source the kids and obviously interact with the parents very closely. The parents were always at the interviews, for example. There's none of this, dodgy stuff. The boys had to learn, well, what application are used in different parts of the world? Is it WhatsApp? Is it Zoom? Is it Viber? Teams? What is it? And so they've interviewed kids, 30 kids, 8 countries. They continue. They're speaking at a national kids conference next week. Very excited, very empowering. Wonderful. One of the kids, Lars, he, on his own, said, I'm going to make a video and I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel. We said, really? Okay, great. Can we have a look at the video when you've produced it? He said, sure. So we've put it on our channel as well. It is fascinating. Lars recounts the journey, recounts the excitement, recounts the impossible became possible, became let's now go for the next impossible task. It's really empowered the kids. So I would highly recommend, when you have a moment, get on the YouTube channel based on that link, or on our YouTube channel, find it. It's only a couple of minutes. It's fascinating listening and watching. An example of a high school project. So this student, Yanina, what was her challenge? Well, most kids her age are not happy with the way adults are treating the environment. And they said, oh, we've got to do something about this. You guys, I know what you're doing. I want to we've got a compost at school. It produces methane as one of the byproducts. I want to take that and I want to pipe it back into the school so we can use it for school cooking and science. I thought, wow, now there's a magnificent project. Are we engineers? No. Do we know anything about this sort of stuff? No. But that's not the problem. In fact, there was no problem. We find people who know people who know people in different parts of the world, in our local part of the world, engineers. We say, hey, this is what this student wants to do. Can you help out? And people, 8 out of 10, say, yeah, how cool is that? We'd love to help out. And because the student is of a higher, almost end of high school, the competence and the technical ability is much matured compared to the primary school kids. So there's a whole process. Testing, biocasts, installations, schools on board, exciting project. This student spoke at an international diaspora conference last year. Her first international conference. How good is that? Next week, she's also speaking at the National Kids Conference. Magnificent, very exciting. That's the sort of possibilities that configuring the elements that we've talked about, we're using. So what are our learnings? Oral and written language and maths through the roof. Logic, formulation of ideas. Health impact, reduction of anxiety. Big problem in the West. Passion for learning. Empowerment. Respect, not dream stealing. Not, sorry, we don't think you can do that. No, not for you. No, no, no. We've all had that. This is a way to avoid it. But we're looking at 360-degree impact, student, teacher, family, friends, community. Now, if we get this right, we know that there will be innovation, creativity, and expansion of possibilities. We know that's where it's heading. And that's what we want to do on a global platform. And we'd love to engage with you on that. Now, what does that mean for you listening to this presentation? In business, there's constant change. The underlying assumptions of connectivity, customer likes, dislikes, look at what we're doing. The ability to communicate around the world. Not possible. Half a dozen years ago, I'd have to jump on a plane and be at a conference that you'd have to be at. So in business, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. These are elements which, when you try things, we will see things. We've seen how the internet can be used for good, but there are elements where there's privacy issues, where there's child safety issues, where there's data theft issues, data challenging issues. So, it's good and bad. So passion to inspire, for in learning and how to inspire has these elements as well. But let's not forget the family, embedding the right values, happy family, happy life, as the CEO of Pfizer said in a presentation last week. Never forget the human element. Your body or soul won't let you. If you go down the evil path, you will be very disappointed, very disenchanted. But getting on the right path will lead to substantial empowerment of your passions. And make sure you bring it into the community. Bring family and business practices, caring and loving, and the power of the community. Not very well managed in academia, in business circles. They often don't talk about this very well. They talk about business to business, fantastic. Family they don't talk about, and community even less so. The role of passion for improving our community is boundless. And I can tell you the Eastern model of family and community and the African model has a lot to learn to teach. Even architecture, design in IT, even social media in America and the West, even connectivity in banking, in sales. It's there. Transform it across using passion, and it will reap rewards for the entire community. Now, this is an interesting slide, just in closing, because I want to demonstrate passion here So on the top left, this is in a derelict building in Greece. So building, literally, it's been left abandoned for years. Yet you've got an artist. Look what the representation of the artist is. The creation of life, the empowerment, the bird flying off, and it's going to land on that mythical bench there. On the bottom, the last 100 meters of a marathon. And you've got this lady from Northern Europe with the flag. She is so excited. She is inspired. She's finally about to get to the point of completing the race. You've got the other chap there, and how you could run a marathon, 42 kilometers with sword, shield, helmet is beyond me. But that's what inspires himself. The image behind, you've got the mum and the dad. Now, I know they were running in the race because they've got their badge with number. But in the last 100 meters, they said to their kids, right, kids, jump the barricade, hold hands. We're going to win. We're going to finish this battle as a family. How inspiring is that? Have a passion to move forward. So when I took this photo, I actually didn't know what was going on in the background. I thought, I want that girl there. Look at just in her eyes, the reflection of the sunlight. But when you analyze it, there's a lot more behind the scenes. So passion and inspiration will lead to planetary repair. That's where the innovations are going to come from. It may even lead to human evolution of how we interact with each other. Revisit the wise old masters, because they've got lots of learning for us that we have forgotten in our rush to modernity. So thank you very much. I look forward to your comments, questions, and I shall stop sharing now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Chris. Superb presentation followed by superb explanation and the powerful content. Above everything, I liked your energy. We know that you were chairing a session at simultaneously, and now you are just giving this webinar. It was so wonderful, and I love the way you started. You give the example of your own son. How did you boost up the confidence? And I love the concept of ecosystem behavior. It's really wonderful. And then the role of the community, that it's not the one person who makes the difference, it's actually the teamwork. We have to grow together, we have to join hands together in order for a better planet, a better world. And I loved your 360 degree, and I really liked your context for you slide. It was so powerful how you connected all the dots together in a simple way. And I loved your way of presentation. Really, that's the real beauty of the experts. They make things very simplified, and everyone could understand in a simple way. So thank you very much for making it so simple for us. And today I learned a lot from you. Really, you are the real contributor who are doing a fabulous job, and your organization is doing a wonderful job. And I hope and our best wishes are with you. And keep it up. And we are learning from you. You are the leader, and it's so wonderful to see. Nevertheless, we have some certain question for you, Dr. Chris. Should we start with the first question, please? Yes.
Of course, as you wish, yes.
Okay, please. The one question from the student is that, please, sir, guide, is there any relationship between passion and innovation? If you are not passionate, you cannot be innovative. Yes, please, guide that student.
I think there is a connection. The key here is that some people believe passion is, oh my God, I'm so excited, and you've got to. But passion can be a very quiet internal expression where you're solving a mathematical problem and you're trying different things, and all of a sudden, oh my God, I think I found it. Oh, that's exciting. So, and passion can be trying something again and again and again. As I said, failure is not a negative here. It just means that, let me try that again. I know when I was conducting my PhD, the experiments would fail again. It's like, and because it was genetics, it's what does that mean? Are the chemicals gone off? Is the glassware dirty? Is the biological system contaminated? Oh, you think, oh my, but you think, hang on, let me just try each one slowly, carefully, combinations, and eventually it worked. And when it works once, you get excited. So I wouldn't. People often disconnect the two, but it's related.
Yes, very nicely said. Wonderful answer for that. And the second question is somehow again connected to it. The one student wants to ask that, sir, please need your guidance that what do I really want is something different. What I want and what my family expects me are different. Please recommend what should I do. Ideally, my passion, but I don't want to hurt my family expectations as well. So, what to do in that? Yes, please.
That's well, it depends how different your alignment is. Often what family wants to hear is they want to understand you, what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how it relates to you and the community and the family being a better person. So you need to find a point of intersection. In my situation, it's very unusual because my family never pushed me into anything. And I was a very average student. My excitement happened at university and afterwards. But my parents also always said, for example, I remember one day my parents received a letter at home, and it said it was from a university that was offering me law, to study law. And my parents said, "Oh, you have a letter from this university." I said, "Oh, really? Why that university?" And they opened it up. I said, "I opened it up." And they opened it up and they said, "Oh, you've been offered to start a law degree." I said, "Oh, that's right. Yeah, I applied for that." And they said, "Oh, okay. So what are you going to do? Because you're an academic at university, postdoc." And I said, "Well, let me sit down with you and explain how the two are designed and what the outcome will be." And they said, "Oh, okay. All right. That's obviously we don't know anyone else who's doing that combination, but we see it and we'll support you." And that was it. Now, that was my parents, and sure, some other parents may not see that, but you've got to be almost street cunning, but very respectful of your parents in order to demonstrate the overlap between what they want and what you want.
Yeah.
But it's a case by case. It depends on the examples. Yeah.
Yes. Very nicely said, Prof. And once again, you have connected with your own experience and with your own suggestion. And definitely that depends, and definitely that will help the student to understand and get the things done in a better way. And I love the way you said it's the point of intersection. That is what we have one question related to that further as well. Prof, we have another very important question that is that they want to ask that since you are the leader, you are leading the different organization and your work is fabulous, does our passion also change with the passage of time, like our interests? We had different interests as a child, and now as an adult we have different interests. So do you think our passion will change with the passage of time? Yes, your recommendation on that, please.
Passions can change, absolutely, absolutely. But if you know yourself, it's a bit like a foundation. So, for example, if somebody said to me 5 years ago, "Chris, you will be doing what you're doing now," I would say, ridiculous. 10 years ago, would you be a lawyer? Ridiculous. 20 years ago, would you be in academic university? Ridiculous. The actual activity for me changes all the time. But the underlying reason of why it happens, I want a better humanity. Um, I love science. I love whatever I do. I love science. I love international. I love law. Those things. But how they're used, I'm open-minded. So I don't know. Dr. Shah, in 5 years, we'll speak again, and you will say, "Why have you gone in that direction?" Because it's a constant evolution. Not evolution, but it's seeing the end through different solutions. That's all it is for me. So yes, passions change. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, very nicely said once again. And now, Prof, I want to ask the same question, which at the start of the before the start of the session, I was asking you. It is somehow related because we have received a lot of questions regarding that thing, and we have sum up in a three question. That sir, please direct us that. If you follow your passion, you may lose work life balance. Is it true? That is the first question. Related, the second question is what are the lifestyles of people who follow their passion? And the third question, which is related, and they want to ask you that, sir, how do you manage your time? And at the same time, you are following your passion. How do you achieve the life balance? Please, your opinion on that.
Okay. Very important question. At different stages of your life, you will have different balances. When I was a lawyer, I was working many, many hours. There are what you should strive for, and this is what my parents told me. Try and strive for financial independence. That's not being wealthy. That's being independent of must work in order to make money, to live, to eat, to breathe, to pay debt. That's a very important activity, financial independence. Why is that important? Because that then allows you to have flexibility in your life. Why is that important? Because you can have life work balances. Now, remember at the beginning we said we wouldn't use the word work. We would use a passion activity. So what I do now is not work; it's a passion activity. I have a very supportive environment. I have very supportive parents. I have a very supportive family, wife, children. Very supportive. If you didn't have those elements, there would be lots of tension.
Yes.
Some of those
Very-
elements, some of
Yeah.
those
Yes.
elements don't understand.
Yes.
Some of those elements don't understand the excitement and directions that we take. So work-life balance, absolutely at the moment. Lifestyle of a passion person, it's non-structured. Every day is a day. There's no such thing as Monday to Friday. It's a nice day. Do I want to go and sit in the park today? Fantastic.
Yes.
Is it raining and I want to work 24 hours a day? Fantastic. Sorry, so just the last one, how to manage time. There are difficulties. I empower my staff, and therefore they grow and develop quickly, and that gives me more time not to micromanage, which is really important for me.
Yes, yes, Prof. Very nicely said once again. Since we have time limitation, the last question what they want to ask about you, that Prof, can you tell us about how did you find your ikigai, the Japanese concept? How did you find your purpose of life? Just briefly give them the how can they take advantage of your experience?
Purpose of life as a child, and I'm talking about 5, 6. I just found the world a little bit different to everyone else. Everyone was doing very normal things. I just thought, you know what? I think being good people and changing the world for better was an end goal. But the way I did it is I enjoy science and innovation. I used to love watching those TV shows of people doing crazy things and new inventions, rockets to the moon and new genetics. I thought, wow, that's very exciting. So I found that maybe I could take that plus being a good person and put them together. That's all I did.
Very nicely said once again, Prof. Thank you very much. And I love one of your phrase which you used is that failure is not the problem, it's the hurdle. You can remove the hurdles. And that's the beauty of expert that they give a certain phrases to the things that click to the mind in a way that it got the embedded. So I learned this new statement from you, and definitely I will be using this phrase a lot in my PhD class and the master classes, and I would definitely quote you that one of my mentor taught me this phrase, and it's so wonderful and so powerful. Thank you very much once again, Dr. Chris, for your wonderful presentation and the powerful content, energy, suggestion, tips, all were so amazing and so wonderful. So, at the end, we ask our guests about that. Please give your concluding remarks and your message to the world as teacher, researcher, trainer, learner, professional, and educator. Yes, please.
My concluding statement is that we, as in there are hundreds of thousands of people like us who are inspired, passionate to learn and to change the world, we should connect up. And believe me, culture, geographical location makes no difference. We will find people of passion will create the solutions to all of our future needs. It will not be the people who do not have passion. So passion is what will drive a better society for us.
Yes, Prof. Very nicely said once again. Thank you very much for such a elaborative presentation and explanation. Definitely, we will be in contact with you and we will have more sessions with you because I personally even enjoy a lot this session because I learned so many new things from you, Dr. Chris. It was so wonderful. Thank you very much once again. And at the end, I would say that indeed the role of passion is very important in our lives, and what we do is what out of our passion. If we do in the best way, which can be an amazing and real contribution to the world. So find your passion, learn and develop it, and be a more productive member to the society and to the world at large. So do follow our distinguished guest speaker and his research work and his organization. And if you need any guidance and any learning from him, you can always email him. He is so generous and he will always give you the time for whatever the things you would ask him. Moreover, wonderful explanation, powerful content which great speaker has already elaborated and will help you to learn and develop your understanding regarding the what is passion. So take advantage of all the information, the tips and suggestions shared by experts. So that's all we have time for today. Thank you once again, Dr. Chris, and I would like to thank our audience who join us. If you have any additional question about the information shared today, please email to us or you can directly connect to the speaker through his email and social media account. We will be providing you his email address. Thank you all for your support and liking our session. Stay tuned because many more sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session. Until next session, take care of yourself. Bye bye.